We both know he's alive.
But you know where he is.
Halloween 5. This time, they're ready. This time, he's unmasked. And this time, he's back with a vengeance. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Welcome to Slash, a horror movie podcast. In Season 1 of Slash, we will be covering every movie in the Halloween film franchise, starting with the original 1978 John Carpenter classic and ending with the 2022 Halloween Ends. Or does it? Slash is available everywhere podcasts can be found. You can follow Slash on Twitter at Slash Horror. And you can find every episode of Slash at fansnotexperts.com/slash. Enjoy the show. And remember, it's fun to be scared. Happy Friday, horror fans, and welcome back to Slash. I want to thank everyone who has listened and found this show so far. If you are a YouTube listener, for the people who have found the show on YouTube, you're noticing something a little different this time around. I'm trying, not sure I'm going to do this every time, but I'm trying something new, actually putting my face on this video that's going on YouTube. I don't know if that's going to make things worse, or if that's going to make things better, or if that's going to change anything. But I thought I'd give it a try and see how it goes, which means I might not be stopping and editing as much as I do normally. Sometimes I'll pause and I'll catch my breath, or pause and sneeze, or pause and go get a Fresca. But I am not going to drink a Fresca. I am not going to try pausing. I am just going to talk about Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. But before I do that, I want to give a couple quick shout outs. Number one, I want to give a shout out to Travis Taylor, who found the Halloween 4 episode on YouTube and commented, "My mom cleaned out apartments, found a copy of Halloween 4, and me and my sister watched this 100 times." I love hearing that, and I commented back, and worth watch every single time. You can find this at youtube.com/@fansnotexperts. That's where all the videos for Fans Not Experts go. And every episode of Slash will be up there in its own playlist that you can link to in the show notes if you are a podcast listener. I also want to give a shout out in the podcast world, we got a comment on the iTunes, and I'm not going to edit. I'm just not going to edit. So I'm going to say slash. I had it pulled up, but I lost it already. It's an amazing comment, so I must give credit to John Louis or Jean-Louis. He commented this a couple weeks ago. I tweeted about it at /horror, but I did not mention it on the show, I don't think. And he gave it a 5-star review, which is wonderful. And he made this comment, I like this. This is a pretty good podcast. I don't think I could ask for much more than that. I like this. This is a pretty good podcast. Jean-Louis or Jean-Louis, he's a straight to the point guy. And I loved that he, left a comment. This is what you get when I'm not editing anything. I just noticed that I wrote down the budget for this movie is $55 million. I think I forgot a decimal point. So Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, just to talk about this movie again. I saw this one in the theater as well. By 1989, my brother was 16 and I was 13, but neither of us, I think, still looked old enough to get into an R-rated movie. Plus, my dad probably really wanted to know what happened next. So, Papa C took my brother and me to see Halloween 5 as well. So thanks, Dad. If he doesn't listen to podcasts, but if he did, he probably wouldn't listen to this. But he could, but he doesn't. So, I wrote down, the three of us, once again saw this in the theater again. This movie, Halloween 5, not good, by the way, came out on October 13th, 1989. We're talking about a week before it became a year between Halloween 4 and 5. So this literally came out less than a year than part 4. They rushed this thing. And there was a lot of what the hell's going on? Why is this happening? Again, looking back, because I probably haven't seen this since the 90s. If not, I know I've seen this since the theater. It couldn't be just this memories in my head. But there was a lot about this movie I did not remember, except the ending. And when I saw the ending in the theater, I remember thinking, oh my God, this goes deeper than I ever could have imagined. Halloween 5, the revenge of, I don't know what revenge he's getting, but the revenge of Michael Myers. This is a wonderful movie. It's not. And I'm going to be the first to say it. It's, I don't think it's going to get much better for a while. I remember liking H2O, I think. That's when they started turning into almost like CW shows. When the poster for 7 and 8 are like all these, young, hunky and hot actors and actresses. That's when things change a little here. Now, obviously, Halloween 5, we get a poster of, Michael Myers in a mask that he's definitely not wearing in this movie. And we get Jaimie dressed in a clown suit that she's definitely not wearing in this movie. You see it in a flashback, but you don't actually see her wearing this thing at all. So I did a little Slashopedia again, which means I just went to the development section of the Wikipedia page. But as I said, so this movie, I wanted to say it bombed also. And again, I thought these movies did great. As a kid, I thought, this is great. It's doing great. I mean, it doubled its budget. It had a budget of $5.5 million and made $11.6 million, which I think is the lowest. But I'm going to read from the development section of Slashopedia. Development of a fifth Halloween was fast-tracked to meet a preset release deadline on October 1989. Producer Mustafa Akkad turned to Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers, writer and directors, blah, 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 to return for their respective duties in the film. However, both declined. Ramsey Thomas assumed producing responsibilities for the fourth film, and Paul from the fourth film's Paul Freeman and opted to hire playwright Shem Bitterman as the screenwriter. Bitterman's script entitled Halloween 5, The Killer Inside Me. Every single one of us, the killer inside. It was written in the span of 3 days, produced an evil Jaimie Lloyd, and resurrected Michael Myers once again. However, Akkad was adamant about making Myers the sole antagonist of the film. Well, it's kind of hard after, wow, I'm really bouncing around. I'm really moving my table. It's kind of hard to make Jaimie not evil after the end of part 4, but they did it. So nevertheless, Bitterman's penned a second draft, and Jeff Burr, director of photography from some movie I've never heard of, was being courted to helm the film. Burr's producing partner, Darren Scott and William Burr, were also in the mix to co-produce alongside Thomas. The directing job was seemingly Burr's until series co-creator Deborah Hill met director Dominique Othenin-Girard at the 1989 Sundance Film Festival and recommended him to Akkad. He basically took over. He brought in some guy named Robert Harders to write an entirely new draft, which saw a Frankenstein-inspired story where Myers is resurrected and no longer evil. Oh, give me a break. But is pursued by an angry mob. That pitch was rejected, leading to a new concept with co-writer Michael Jacobs, with the director now. The duo, the initial title was Halloween 5 and Things That Go Bump in the Night. After reviewing the screenplay, director Othenin-Girard added Jaimie's inability to speak to the draft, along with the supernatural plot device of her telepathic vision connections to Michael, which I don't know if they were the dumbest thing in the movie, but they were bad. I'm not going to read any more of this. It's too much reading when I just want to talk about this movie. We ended part 4. Jaimie lifts the scissors, so she's evil now, and Dr. Loomis, who is fairly terrible, I think, in this movie. He's a mean son of a bitch. I'll just say that. And I think Donald Pleasence himself agrees with that. He doesn't actually, if the trivia that I read from IMDb is true, he did not actually like the way he was characterized, or the way his character was portrayed in this movie. So the movie starts, but he gets top billing again, Donald Pleasence in Halloween 5. Just Halloween 5. We don't see the revenge of Michael Myers anywhere in the title, because what the hell is he getting revenge on? Who's he getting revenge on? I don't understand it. It's a cool title to go alongside with Return to Revenge, but I don't actually know what the revenge is. And this time Danielle Harris gets the second billing, not Rachel. And I didn't remember why, but there's obviously a very terrible, dumb reason why. The opening has its own slow theme. It kind of has the beats of the main theme. It's like, and you hear, but they're really just chopping a pumpkin. And then you hear the Carpenter theme come in. The movie literally replays the end of part 4 with Rachel running Michael over, the cops showing up. Somehow they showed up. And, if I'm correct, part of this actually is in the trailer for part 5, which makes, I don't know, it just kind of seems like it's a clip from part 4. They didn't reshoot anything. But the difference this time is we do get a little added. We get it starts to get added to right there. So he gets shot, bing, bang, boom. He falls down into the well. But this time we see them throw dynamite, and it makes a big explosion. That's what I said. I said explosion, and the well blows up. But Michael gets out before that happens. And we actually see him following him into the well, and Michael pulls himself to safety and gets by a nearby raging river, and Michael just floats. I mean, he looks like he's having a ball. And I remember 13-year-old me thought, that is so cool. He's going down, like he's getting away. His mask is on, wonderful, no problem. And he floats right down to some old dude who lives with a parrot. When I was a kid, or something about this made me think he was blind. That, oh, he goes with a blind man, and the blind man takes care of him. I don't quite know what happens because, well, the guy isn't blind. Maybe I was thinking of Young Frankenstein or something like that. He lives with a parrot, and he seems to live like in some sort of shanty by the river. Michael goes to kill him, and he collapses because he's so weakened by, all the various gunshots, and perhaps, the dynamite maybe jarred him a bit. But he falls, I guess he goes into a coma. He collapses and goes into a coma for a whole year. Like, we jump to 1 year later. Okay. Now, we're not going to go back to Michael yet. We go and we find Jaimie in the children's clinic in Haddonfield, Illinois. And my first thought is, this case, it's like, isn't it like big enough for her to go to some nice hospital in Chicago? Just go north or south or east or west from Haddonfield, wherever Chicago is located, and go there. Like, why keep her in the same town where all these tragedies seem to happen? It's like, how big is Haddonfield? We know it has a hospital that is barely staffed from Halloween 2. And now we have a children's hospital, a children's clinic right there in Haddonfield. It's like Springfield. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. She's in the hospital, Jaimie. We see her, like we have a couple of these frantic zoom shots of like zooming in on Jaimie, like almost like music video type. That's what it reminded me of. She's hooked up to a brain scan, and she seems to be having some sort of a nightmare, and we get a recap of the last movie. We get the whole little recap, except now we see actually stabbing of the woman. Now, I wonder if that was shot and just not used. At least in the version I saw, we didn't actually see the stabbing. We just heard the screaming. And she wakes up and she's screaming, but she's not making a sound. Now in the video, you could see me doing this, but I don't know if it'll come across on audio, but she's like, and I have to tell you, that happened to me once. I had a nightmare. I don't know if it was after watching like the Psycho. There was a Psycho TV show. It wasn't Bates Motel. It was like an anthology type show. I'm going to say in the 80s, where it's based around the Bates Motel. It might have even been called Bates Motel, but it wasn't. It's not the great Bates Motel show that came out years later. This was like almost going to be like a Twilight Zone type show, where every week it's a half hour, some kind of spooky ghost story. And there was something in there that scared me as a kid. And then I had a dream about it. And I remember waking up on my brother's floor because there was like friends sleeping over, and I wanted to stay there too. So I get this big beanbag, and I slept on the floor. And I remember waking up freaked out. And I think I woke my brother up to tell him that I was scared. And I don't know why I did that. So apparently I do get scared, even though I love going to these horror movies. Maybe my dad shouldn't have taken me. I don't know. But just to say that I have been scared enough where I couldn't speak for a few seconds. But it seems like Jaimie is completely mute until later, when she constantly says one name over and over and over again. But anyway, we get the recap I said of her. And what happens is the nurse comes in because she's freaking out, and she says, "Do you want me to call your mom?" And I'm like, wait, what? So apparently the mom's alive. I mean, she survived the brutal stabbing from the scissor girl. And I guess, and then we see all of a sudden there's some sort of psychic connection with her and Michael. I don't know if it's synced up to Halloween. There's a lot of like moments of disbelief and dumbness, I'm just going to say, that this movie just kind of has you go with, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me as far as timing wise is concerned. So and this is one of them right here, where there's like Jaimie starts moving her hand, and then all of a sudden we see Michael moving his hand as well, and we see this strange tattoo on his wrist. It's all of a sudden there. They have some sort of psychic connection, Jaimie and Michael. And apparently Michael's been living with this dude for a year. I don't know how he's eaten. There was no dogs around for him to eat. I don't know if he's just been in a coma for the entire year and this guy kind of force fed him. It doesn't make any sense, except he wakes up right then and there, picks up his mask because the guy very nicely hung up the mask right there. And again, this mask is actually different than the Halloween 4 mask, and very different from the poster, because the poster keeps using masks, I think, from Halloween 2. But the Halloween 5 Michael Myers, the mask couldn't fit on him, so they had to get a different one. And it's a different one, and it's a shitty one. I'll just say this mask is worse than 4, I think. And in 4, some moments in 4 I liked. I think the moment he puts it on for the first time in the drugstore, or the mini mart store, whatever that is, the convenience store, it looked kind of dumb. But anyway, he gets up, and while he gets up, Jaimie starts writing frantically on a little chalkboard. He's coming for me. He's coming for me. And as my light dims over here, so she starts panicking, and we jump over. Michael kills the old man. So there's our first kill. This dude took care of you for a year, Michael, and this is how you repay him? You bastard. They rushed Jaimie down to some sort of medical wing of this hospital. I don't even know what it is. And they're about to give her an emergency tracheotomy. And I think of Eugene Tackleberry from Police Academy. Some of you might get that. But out of the royal effing blue, Loomis just shows up like he was waiting in the corner of this room. He's like, no, don't. You mustn't. No. They're like, she's going to die. No, she will stabilize. She has something to tell us. Donald Pleasence is weaker than ever. He's more annoying than ever. And I remember thinking having Loomis back is great. I don't know if it is. I don't know. Like, he's a great, I don't know if he's a great foil. In the first one, he barely does anything. He gives Michael his car, and then he stays by his house waiting for him. He does shoot him at the end. That doesn't do much of anything. 2, he does sacrifice himself in part 2. Again, they both lived, and it didn't really do anything. And, he's, in 4, he's like, you know what? I'm sure it's fine. The evil is over. Well, apparently he doesn't believe his own lies in this one. So it's dumbfounding what Loomis actually does. And he probably does the most in this movie, actually, even though he's a big dickhead through most of it. He goes later to visit Jaimie in her room, and he waits because Rachel's in there visiting. And we find out that Jaimie is, completely mute. She can't speak. And that's when we see Rachel's friend show up for the first time. I don't know if they name her there, but this is Tina. And I feel like I'm going to just move myself in my seat and not edit a thing. I'm just going to adjust myself. I think I saw something online where people were complaining about Tina and not liking her as a character, and I wasn't sure why. And then I continued to watch this movie, and I understood. Oh, I understood why. So she's there with Max, and I'm like, oh, God, no, not a dog. Not another dog to be around Michael. We know Michael hates dogs. Tina's asking about Jaimie. Rachel's like, she doesn't even remember. So she doesn't even remember attacking her mother? Is that what they're saying? And they're calling her mother, even though we saw she had a dream where she definitely remembers attacking her mother. So I'm not sure what they're talking about. They got a dress. She got a dress for Jaimie. It's a nice princess dress for Halloween. Now Loomis bursts in. He's like, what are you doing? What's going on in here, ladies? Hello, I'm Dr. Loomis. I don't know why I talk like this all of a sudden. I don't know why Dr. Loomis is in this children's clinic. It bothers me to no end. He shouldn't even be there. He shouldn't be nowhere near this child. But we see Rachel's going to leave for 2 days, I guess, to go see her parents. I guess her parents are away. They probably don't want to be in Haddonfield during Halloween. I wouldn't be in Haddonfield at all at this point. But, Jamie's like, I don't know, I might want to stick around. She doesn't want to leave Jaimie. The parents don't mind. They don't give two craps. But the Rachel, she minds. So is Michael already there? It's crazy. I wrote, like the dude, Michael's already in broad daylight and nobody ever sees him in this movie. Now, in the first one, I will say that makes sense. It's Halloween. People are in masks. No one's expecting a tall man in a white mask to be some sort of killer. But you get that once, okay? Even old Ben Tramer. That was the same night. He died. One night, okay? Halloween 4, we saw all these guys dressing up in that mask. They shouldn't even sell this mask in Haddonfield. Never mind anywhere in Illinois or the United States. If a specific mask is being used by actual mass murderer, don't sell it. Like just, and yet, and the fact that like in Haddonfield now in 1989, maybe people might be suspicious that this guy is walking around in broad daylight, especially since he was just there a year ago and no body was ever found or apparently ever looked for. It bothers me in this movie how out in the blue, and he doesn't give a shit. Michael's like, I don't care. I'll do whatever I want. So Rachel goes home. That's when we see Michael right there. And Max knows. Max is outside. Woof, woof. Every time he's barking, I'm like, oh God. Oh Jesus. And while this is going on, Jamie's back at her hospital. She's getting her psychic connection again. And of course, she's in a classroom and she's drawing a picture of Max, and Loomis is just looking in like a creep. He's looking into the classroom like he's always there, just happens to be staring into the room. Max outside is barking at the house, and Jamie's drawing fanatically, and she's like, Max. She's like mouths it, and this little shit Billy, he figured it out. Frantically, she's drawing, and then the little guy Billy figures it out. Max, is it Max? And you might have just seen the first edit. So it does happen. It did happen. I tried. I made it pretty far, but there's a hallway down here, and when people come into the hallway, you gotta pause and be a good podcaster. I don't know what I'm thinking. Anyway, while Jaimie is freaking out about Max, and Max is outside freaking out, Rachel thinks it's a good time to get naked, get into a shower. So we get a little gratuitous, through the shower curtain action that for no reason, except now we see Michael's in the house. And I'm nervous because I don't hear Max barking at this point. Loomis calls. He's like, go see Max. Like, what? No, your sister, she's psychic now. Everything's normal. She's got psychic ability. Go check on the dog, please. You must. Now we see Michael is right there in the living room. Look, like Rachel could be like turning her head slightly and Michael could be right there. And she turns like, oh, he's gone. There's a lot of that in this. But the door's open and Max seems to be gone. And Loomis is like, get out of the house. So she runs next door and nothing but a towel and ends up seeing the neighbor. Now, here's something crazy. The cops come and check the house out. And they say all clear. But these cops took me out of the movie with the theme music that they have. Behind them, it was like comedic theme music, and it was weird as hell. I could not believe what I was listening to.
All clear.
Nothing above, nothing below.
And in the trivia, it says the script added 2 bumbling cops, Deputy Nick and Tom, with their own clown theme in the background to homage a scene in Wes Craven's The Last House on the Left. Something tells me that The Last House on the Left did it better than what I saw in this movie. And oh my God, thank God the cops went through the house. No one was there. Thank God Max is fine. For now, I don't want to get into it, but we've watched the movie. We've seen this. And, okay. So I don't know why Loomis is with these kids. Like I wrote down, why is Loomis with these kids? But he knows. He knows that she senses something. But he's kind of a dick to her about it. He's like, write what you know. Tell me what you know. And we go back to Rachel. She goes into her closet. Michael's in the closet, like right in the closet. Like he's behind the clothes. It's ridiculous. And then she comes out. He walks out from behind her. And she's just like, she's looking in a mirror, okay? She's obviously trying on clothes, looking in a mirror. Behind her, if you know how mirrors work, I'm not sure. But my understanding is you see a reflection of you and what is behind you. So what she would have seen is a 6'5" giant maniac in a white mask, just walking out of the garage and out of the closet like he's Laszlo and real genius, and just leaving the house. She sees none of it. She doesn't notice it at all. And now we hear Max barking again in the yard. And Rachel looks over and she finds a photo of Jaimie smashed with blood. And she's like, what is this? And boom, Michael Myers shows up, stabs Rachel with scissors, and she's dead. You know, they don't even there's 2 deaths in this that I wasn't sure about. It's Rachel and, spoiler alert, it's Tina. I wasn't sure. Understand that. I wasn't talking to you, Google. Anyway, it was Rachel and Tina. Like both of them got stabbed, kinda. And then I'm like, wait, did they actually die? I don't even know. Are they going to find them, bleeding out? It was annoying. And then we see Jaimie convulsing again because she's sensing that Michael killed Rachel. I guess, I don't know. Who cares? Loomis goes to the police department to tell them that Jamie's shaking. Like that's some sort of friggin' clue. Loomis is convinced he's back, and the sheriff, he's like, he killed your daughter. He's like, you don't think I remember? It's the same sheriff from last time. He's like, they said, sheriff, they want you back at the cemetery. So something's going on at the cemetery. And then later we see it. It's like a dropped line. Man, my light sucks. It's like a dropped line that something's going on at the cemetery. What we actually find out and what happens at the cemetery, guess what? Really not all that important. So Rachel's friend shows up at the house where Rachel was just murdered. She goes in through the back door. She's calling for Rachel. Michael's like right there in the house. He doesn't kill her. She doesn't see him. There's someone else at the door. There's another girl that shows up. There's Sammy. So we have Tina and Sammy, and apparently these are the new girls. They kill off Rachel, and there's there's no reason for these girls to show up. Like last time, we had Lindsay. We had Rachel's friend Lindsay. I don't think Lindsay was killed, right? So they just kind of, I guess they didn't want to do Lindsay again to make it seem like maybe it was a connection to the first movie. I don't know. But the kill count is now at 2 because Rachel is dead. I also wrote down, this music is awful. There's music where Tina's looking around where it's like, where I picture like Miami Vice, and they find a body and they have to solve a murder. But this is freaking Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. So the girls, now there's Rachel and Samantha. They just assume that, Tina and Samantha, they just assume that Rachel left. Oh, she must have gone seen her parents. So no problem. We have the house to ourselves. We have this house now. That's great. So now the whole family is out of the picture. They don't have to worry about them at all, which is sloppy. but it is a convenient, it's convenient is what it is. But I did like when Tina turns, so not Tina Turner, but they're walking out and Michael's like standing right in the window of the house. Hi. And Tina turns. Of course, they do the classic turn. And by the time you turn, you're not going to see anything, except you do see something. You see half of Michael like walking away like, oh, am I over enough? I actually liked it, but I'm wondering if that was a mistake. Like if they didn't notice it and they just said, okay, yep, that's perfect. But now if these are the girls, I wrote down, I don't care about these girls. Should I? I do not. So we now meet Tina's boyfriend. His name is also Michael. Why? Doesn't actually do anything. It's not necessary. And apparently he is from 1959 because he's a greaser. Who decided that this is what cool kids look like? You know, you see some shows and movies, they try to decide what a cool person looks like. And we're not going back to the 70s or the 80s. This is right now. And this kid looks like a dork who has hair grease and a nice car. And it's weird. So I was wondering, were they going to visit Jaimie? Were they by the hospital? We see her wake up and look out the window. And now Michael Myers is the hospital right there? I don't know is it all in one block? I have no idea. But Michael is now right there at the hospital. Things just go crazy because now it's Halloween. This is when I said it's Halloween and nobody recognizes the killer in the killer's mask. You know, again, one movie, good. The rest, no way. Now Jaimie is running around trying to hide. She's freaking out. She's running in basements, trying to get away. Apparently the hospital has steam pipe basements. Like it's friggin' the boiler room in Nightmare on Elm Street. Or it's like someone thought that looked good. Okay, steam pipes kind of look good, but why would there be steam pipes in a basement of a hospital like that? It just seemed really dumb. And then Jaimie's running through a scary laundry room with all these clothes are hanging. She hides in this little nook because someone is following her, but it's a maintenance man who's just also happens to be 6 foot, over 6 feet tall, wearing a whatever the hell Michael wears, mechanic's jacket or something like that, mechanic's suit. So they go back to her room, and Loomis just puts on the charm of an asshole where he says, why are you protecting him? So this is right out of the trivia in IMDb. Donald Pleasence was very vocal about his dissatisfaction with the story, no shit, and with the way director Dominique Othenin-Girard was trying to get him to play Loomis as a totally heavy and overbearing. Pleasence also felt that the success and the shock ending of part 4 was not being capitalized on. Yes, no kidding. In fact, all they did was make it so, Jaimie's traumatized and she's in a hospital and she's mute. But she didn't kill her mom and she's not crazy and she's not evil. She's still the hero. Let's go. Yeah. At the end of part 4, so he says, why are you protecting him? We both know he's still alive. At the end of part 4, Loomis is like, it's over. Yes, it's over. Hip, hip, hooray. But now he what changed his mind? And I'm thinking, did Jaimie's attack? Because he's like, he made you do that. And then he tells her about what happened. Remember we said the sheriff had to be called away to the cemetery? He says, he dug up a coffin of a 9-year-old girl. You're 9. He's going to put you in the coffin, you little bitch. Like, he's awful. Like, Jesus Christ, Doc. I can't believe this is what Loomis has become. And if you think this is, a little convoluted right now, well, it just started. You ain't seen nothing yet because we cut to a bus and we see the steel-toed boots of a man coming off the bus in a long leather duster. And we don't see his face, so it's mysterious and very, very, very dumb. And then that mofo kicks a dog. And I'm like, did he actually kick the dog? He definitely nudged the dog in real life, but I think they added the to make it, sound like he actually hurt the dog. The Man in Black. I remember this happening. For some reason, I thought this was all in part 6, but happens in this one and then I guess gets resolved in part 6. I know there's 2 different versions of part 6, so I'll have to uncover the differences of those movies next week, but that's next week. Right now, we just see some dude showing up in a town out of nowhere in boots, kicking a dog, and it doesn't make any sense, and it's trying to tell a bigger story. But I have no problem with telling bigger stories or expanding or making the world bigger out of something, except when it's unwarranted and unnecessary and poorly done. And I feel like that happens in all 3 of these things. So Loomis, one of his favorite things is to just hang out at the Myers house. We saw that in part 1. Hey, when he told, what the hell is his name? The kid. He's like, get the hell out of here. Lonnie. Hey, Lonnie. So Loomis is back at the Myers house because I guess, again, why would they never tear this down? Seems like a nice neighborhood. There's some nice property there. You would assume someone would come and flip it. Nowadays, that house would be gone. But he's in the house and he's like, Michael, have you come home? I know what you want from her. I'm like, you, Doc, what the hell are you talking about? But he checks the garbage chute. And I wrote down why he's checking the garbage chute is beyond me. But it's dumb. It actually makes sense later. The garbage chute comes into play later. So they did this to show, oh, there's a garbage chute. It makes no sense. He goes downstairs. The garbage chute goes in the basement. He gets a little jump scare. One of the doors doesn't open. And it's like, oh, this all comes into play later. The only reason we're seeing this, because there's no reason he should be looking in there. The only reason we're seeing this is so that later we'll be like, oh yeah, remember that? So we see the Man in Black. The Man in Black is there too. And he has the same tattoo as Michael. The little line with, it looks like a shark fin coming out of the water. There's no explanation to what it is yet. So I'm not going to say what it is or what that is referred to as. So I'm going to leave it as the same tattoo. And it's very, very mysterious. You're like, wait a minute, he and Michael are connected? And I'm thinking, oh, how alike they are. Maybe they're long-lost brothers. They even think the same. There may be others. So now Michael's at a school for absolutely no reason. But he sees that Mike is polishing his car. And he's going to go pick up beer for the big party. So Michael watches him from afar. Then he walks right up behind the guy in the alley and takes some sort of gardening tool and puts it right through the man's face. And Michael is now dead. Nobody notices. Nobody sees it. Broad daylight. The kid comes out for the beer later. Apparently, I don't know exactly what's going on. He doesn't get the beer, or maybe he does. Maybe Michael hides him and puts on the kid had a Halloween mask himself. I don't know, but we're at a kill count of 3. And don't worry, it's going to pick up. So there's a big Halloween party at the hospital, and that little kid, Billy, who they don't say what's wrong with him, but they're like, I don't know, give the kid a stutter. He's like, hey, Jaimie, this is for you. And he gives her some flowers and his bracelet, but he seems like a sweet little shit. And Jaimie gives him a kiss on the cheek. So it turns out it was a costume pageant at the hospital. And we jump over. I wrote at Tina's, but wait, it's Rachel's. I'm guessing they couldn't afford to rent another house, so they just used the same house. A car pulls up, and we see the Man in Black outside. Oh, the Man in Black's outside the house. So Michael's in the car. And she's like, open the door, unlock the door. And Michael unlocks the door. He's now driving this car. He's wearing this guy's Halloween mask. And I read in the IMDb trivia, it was originally going to be a Ronald Reagan mask, but they didn't want to be political in any way. So she gets in the car. She doesn't notice that this man is twice the size of that scrawny little shit she called her boyfriend. And this is when I realized, oh, Tina's really bad at acting and really annoying. And here it comes right here in this scene. So Jaimie senses something's up. She collapses at the party. Then the man in Black goes in the house. And I guess, I don't know what the hell he's looking for. Michael speeds down the road with the girl, and she's like, hey, can we stop, get some cigarettes? And then, like, it's an edit of her looking right in the camera. Hey, God damn it, I want to get some cigarettes. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's bad. But Michael stops. He actually stops so she can get cigarettes. And he waits for her like a good boyfriend. Why? My only thought is maybe she's the only one who can lead her to Jaimie. But doesn't she know? He knows where the hospital is. He's been there already. So it makes zero sense. So he's outside. He's like, ugh, hurry up. And while she's in there, he switches masks. He's like, I don't want to wear this terrible mask. I want to put my old classic white mask on for no reason whatsoever. Then while she's in the store, Jaimie is trying to figure out Loomis is trying to figure out from Jaimie what's going on. And he's like, is it Tina? Is Tina in danger? Why the hell would Loomis ask about Tina? No one's meant. Tina is just Rachel's friend. Why wouldn't you say Rachel again? Well, because Rachel's dead. But a good script would say, is it Rachel? Is it Rachel? And then she would say Tina. He'd say, Tina? Like something would change it. But instead, Loomis is like, is it Tina? What's with Tina? Very dumb. Poor choice. Just annoyed me to no end that is what they went with. Like, why would he specifically say Tina and not Rachel? And Jaimie says, Tina, store. And what do they sell? What does it sell? Big woman. Cookie woman. He's like, cookie woman? Big woman? And one of the police guys, the police or the doctor there, whoever the hell's there, I don't know. He's like, it's Dale's gas station on 5th and Main. I'm like, what in the absolute F was that? She can see, I guess, through Michael's eyes that they're at the big cookie woman store. But the cops, as Tina's heading out to the car, we actually see Michael sitting in the car with his mask. I took a screenshot and tweeted it at /horror. It's very dumb and funny. And the cops show up, and literally they show up. Michael's sitting there in the car, and they turn their back to the car and go, let's check inside. Dumb. Yeah, I understand. You know, these cops are, are supposed to be bumbling, but there's just a certain point where it's like, dude, maybe have him drive away right when you start hearing the siren. Just slowly drive away. Because they wouldn't expect Michael driving a sweet ride like that. But instead, the car's there. The cops look. Tina looks. And the car is gone. And she just thinks her boyfriend bailed, I guess. But it's very, very dumb. And then she shows up she shows up to the hospital. And all of a sudden, Jaimie can talk again. She's like, Tina. And it's as if Rachel never existed. Because Rachel, see, I guess at this point, okay, maybe it makes sense. Jaimie assumes that Rachel's out of town. Tina assumes that Rachel's out of town. So, okay, they're not looking for her. Okay. I guess it's okay. But again, she just loves Tina. Tina's like the best now. She doesn't want Tina to leave. She's like, the boogeyman is with her. But Tina, all of a sudden she can talk now. Perfectly fine. But Tina doesn't think, that's an issue. She doesn't think the boogeyman's with her. Oh, because Jaimie saw the boogeyman was with her. But I wrote, Tina is extremely annoying. Yikes. And Loomis is like, for God's sake, stop her. And he doesn't want her to leave. He's like, if she dies tonight, I'm like, Loomis is correct technically with everything that's going on, but it doesn't come across like he is a psychopath. The cops are like, we can't actually stop her. Like, dude, we can't do anything about it. He's like, well, at least give her a ride. So they're like, okay, yeah, we can do that. So these two cops, the two bumbling cops, they take her to the big tower farm for the big party. Like, okay, I guess you're going to bring these teens to a Halloween kegger. Okay, I guess that's fine. And as they leave, another car follows. It's the car Mikey Myers is driving that nobody ever notices. And the man in black shows up randomly just for no reason. Jaimie leaves. She knows something's up. She's not staying. She runs off. with little Billy goes with her, and they need to find Tina and he's like, I know where they are. They're at the Tower Farm. So while the teenagers are inside the party getting drunk, the cops just hang out outside, and Michael just drives right up, and with his mask on, driving up to the party. And I did like this. The cops are like, does that look like a life-threatening situation to you? He's like, nah. And I thought that little bit of humor, that worked for me. I like that. Michael's creeping outside while the cops are just playing crazy eights. All of a sudden they hear screams, and the girls are playing tricks on the cops, literally putting their friend dressed up as Michael Myers. They play this trick. What if the cop just like, oh my God, it's him, and they fired? Like, these cops are bumbling. They could have done something like that. And again, why do they still sell these masks in Haddonfield? He looks pretty good. He's got the full outfit. He's like, I would like to dress up like the full murderer who killed our friends last year. Can I please have that outfit? So the kids all go to the barn now. Samantha, her boyfriend, and Tina. They found kittens in there, and we know Michael kills dogs, but I don't know what his policy is on cats. We don't see him kill any cats, so that's good. We find out his boyfriend's name is Spitz. Tina goes off to look for other cats. They're separated. We do get some jump scares. She leaves the girlfriend and the boyfriend, who's still dressed like Michael Myers. And so now we're going to have some confusion, right? Right. And outside, Jaimie and Billy are still running around, trying to get to the farm and avoiding cops. They don't have much to do except run. And like, we have to get to Tina. So, we get to the barn, back in the barn, and Samantha and Spitz are about to get it on. And my thought was, he seems too dorky for a girl like that pretty. Maybe it's because he's a clown, and I mean that in the best way. Like, the guy has acted in other films as a clown, and apparently he's a clown. At least that's my guess. Or he doesn't clown, but he's not clowning around here because he brought his rubber. And we watch his face as he puts it on. Like, he pulls it up, and then we see him kind of struggling a little. I'm like, do we really need to see that? And I thought that must have been fun, sitting next to my dad watching the sex scene, because they start getting it on, and Michael's like, oh, here we go. Takes a pitchfork, and he just goes, boom, and he slices it right through them. I thought it was going to go through both of them. It only goes through Spitz as he spits up blood. And then Samantha's like, Mike's like, hold on, let me get something. Grabs a scythe, I believe that's what it's called, and he slices the girl up. Boom. Now we're at, that's 5. Kill count at 5. That's been the first kill since Mike in the car, the boyfriend Mike. So we're at 5 now. But again, it goes a little bonkers. This is a high kill count. I can't say they're all Michael Myers murders, but some of them, a lot of them still can be. So the cops hear the sounds. They're like, that sounded different. And then we see Michael walking right out of the barn. They're like, get over here. Come here. I want to talk to you. We don't see anything else with them. But we go back inside the party, and there's a random old lady there. I don't know why. Did she throw the party? Does she run the party? It didn't make any sense to me. But then they all decide to leave the party and go skinny dipping. And Tina goes back to check on Sam and Spitz. And meanwhile, Jaimie and Billy are still running to get to Tina. So she goes into the barn. She finds a cat with blood all over it. And then she finds her 2 dead friends. She's like, oh no, somebody please help me. Running, screaming, going crazy. She goes out to the cops. And of course, these 2 bumbling doofuses are dead. Kill count 6 and 7. Jaimie and Billy finally get there in time. And Tina's running. Jaimie's running. Billy's running. And Michael is now chasing them in a car. Literally chasing them in a car slowly. He could easily run them over, but he doesn't. So he almost runs Tina over. And then Jaimie's like, no, chase me. Almost runs Billy over. He jumps out of the way. And I'm like, this is really a car chase? Billy seems to be in shock, but I didn't care at all. Tina is now chasing the car that is chasing Jaimie through the woods. It is ridiculous. The car crashes into a tree, and just like any good automobile, it immediately bursts into flames. You hear, and then it stops. And you know that stops because Michael's head's like, oh, I'm alive again. And I think Danielle Harris gets paid every time she says, Tina, 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 Tina. Then Michael gets out of the car, comes over to Jaimie. She's about to get to Jaimie. Tina jumps up to protect her, but she gets stabbed. And again, she gets stabbed in such a way that I didn't think she got killed right away. I thought, oh, it was in the shoulder. But she's dead. We never see her again. In fact, we see her getting taken out on a stretcher and her no sheet over and her arms bouncing up and down. So Jamie's just looking at her older friend and seeing her dead body just bouncing around. And Loomis shows up in the woods out of nowhere with a bunch of cops. I guess, okay, I'm trying to make sense of this. So they're like, Jamie's gone. Where did she go? She probably went to warn Tina. Where did they go? Tower Farm. Okay, it makes sense, I suppose. And the cops get her out, and she's like, don't worry, it's going to be all right. And then it said, well, didn't you say that last time? But Tina's dead for sure. Now we're at kill count 8, like I said. And then Loomis says, now are you willing to help me, you little shit? She says, can you kill him? Loomis, I wrote down, is as useless as ever so far. And again, I would sue the police force for never looking for the body last year. Okay, Jaimie Lloyd, you should own Haddonfield. So Loomis goes into the woods, just randomly walks into the woods and starts talking to Michael, who he just assumes is hiding behind a tree, I guess. He's like, this rage, it will destroy you. You have to fight it in the place where it started, where it all began. Michael, go home. Go to your house. I'm like, really? I'll be there with Jaimie. What? You will? And they actually go there. They actually go to the house, Loomis, and they bring Jaimie as bait. And some of the cops are hiding. So I go, okay. I guess they're okay with the psycho killer showing up and having this girl be bait because there's a bunch of cops around, right? So everything is going to be fine. Jaimie starts panicking about Billy in the house. Loomis wants them to all go to the clinic. He's like, you have to go to the clinic. Something's wrong at the clinic. And all the cops leave. And they say, okay, we're going to take Jaimie to the police station. And Loomis stays behind. But they didn't leave yet. He's like, now he'll come. Loomis was like waiting. I guess Loomis sent the cops away, but something was going on at the clinic. So Loomis sends the cops away, goes back into the house, and there's another cop, a car who shows up, but Loomis doesn't want them to leave. He actually locks them in the room and pulls a gun on the cop. There's one cop who's with Jaimie. He smashes the radio. He pulls the gun on her, and another cop pulls up in a car. That's my dog who just woke up. Another cop pulls up in a car. Michael Myers kills him. So we're at kill count 9. So he pulls the inside. Loomis pulls a gun on the cop, who's a very recognizable character actor. And he says, Michael Myers is outside. I don't know why he sounds like that now. Stay with the little girl, please. And the cop's like, all right. Like, again, cops listen to Dr. Loomis. Why? I do not know. Yeah, if I thought I was going to get through this without editing, I was severely mistaken. So Loomis is in the house and he knows Michael's there. And of course, Michael's there. He's like behind him. But it's really weird. He's like, I know why you've come back, because the little girl can stop the rage inside. Like, what? She can? What is this? Where did this come from? In the first movie, it's like, he's pure evil. Now he's like, oh, we can help get the rage inside now. Maybe he's setting him up. I don't know. But he's right there. Like, Loomis, shoot him in the face. Instead, he talks to him. They're just standing there together. It's really dumb. Michael's mask looks ridiculously bad in this scene. And he's just standing there with the knife. Loomis goes to take it from him, but then Michael starts going and slashing and throws down Loomis. The cop up with Jaimie, he smashes a window because he can't open the window for some reason. And he throws a rope down to get Jaimie out because that worked so well in the last movie. Well, I guess it did get her out of the house. That was from a chimney. But then Michael shows up. The cops start shooting him. Bang, 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 bang. Michael falls down for like a second. Then he gets right back up. When he gets up, Jaimie runs and gets away. But Michael grabs the cop, beats him up a little bit, ties the rope around his neck, throws him out the window, and he's dead. And that makes the kill count at 10. We then jump over to the hospital and we see a body being taken out under they pull back the sheet, and I guess it's the doctor. And then you do see, and I didn't notice this at first, but you do see another stretcher pulling out another body under a sheet. So we have 2 more people. Body count, kill counts out at 11 and at 12 because Loomis, we assume, is still alive, right? So Jaimie's trying to escape, and then we get the garbage chute. Remember the garbage chute that for some reason was shown it was established earlier in the movie for no reason except for it to have a reason, and that's it being shown right now. She goes and hides. Michael just assumes to look in there. I guess because of the psychic connection, they can sense each other. He tries to open it, and I do like when he does open it, he looks in, and we see the shot of her. She's trying to hold on. She doesn't want to go down the chute. We see the shot of her sliding down the chute, but it's from her perspective. So you see the camera looking at Michael going down the chute. I thought that was a cool shot. There aren't many in this movie, but that was one of them. But he can't open the door down in the basement either. Remember the door that Loomis couldn't open? Now he can't open it either. So while he finally does, or no, he doesn't. Jaimie's trying to crawl up. So Michael just starts stabbing into the chute. Why not? But she somehow pulls herself up through this giant garbage chute, which is just ridiculous. And I realized I wasn't recording any of that on my podcast, so I'm just going to add this all in afterwards. So she still gets up and she still gets out of the chute. I don't know how, but she gets out, pulls herself up, and instead of getting out of the house, she goes up into the attic for some reason. And I don't know what this reason is. Except it's to see all these candles and see all these bodies. We see Mike. Who gives a shit about him? We see Rachel. That one really hurts her because she thought Rachel was out of town. Okay, she's like, Rachel, no, Rachel. But he killed Max. He killed the dog. That bastard killed the dog. And then Michael shows up. And, remember the coffin? Remember before? He stole a 9-year-old's coffin, and you're 9 years old. He's going to put you in the coffin. I think if I didn't, make myself clear. She gets inside the coffin, I guess to, I don't know, like trick him. He goes up to stab her and she goes, Uncle, boogeyman, let me see. He takes off his mask and she says, you're just like me. And then we get a goddamn teardrop. His face doesn't look burnt. His skin looks smooth. His hand's all burnt, but not one burned by his face. She goes to wipe the tear, I think, and he snaps. He gets all stabby again. She runs. He puts the mask back on. Now Loomis grabs her because Loomis is still alive, and he's like, "You want her? Here she is!" Like, what the f, Loomis? This is crazy. He's using her as bait to get Michael to follow, and then finally, he drops a goddamn chain net on top of him and starts shooting him with a bunch of tranks. Now, they set up this chain net earlier, I guess, possibly. That's the plan. Get him to the house, get him under the chain net. And Loomis is smashing him with the 2x4. Smash, smash, die, die, die. And he's an old man. He can't really hit him very hard. But Michael stays down. Loomis collapses on top of him. And it looks like he's like, "Rrr." And they keep his eyes open. And are we supposed to think he's dead? I'm not sure, but it kind of works that they could say, if they don't want him back, they could just kill him off. But if they do want him back, then you could say, well, he just kind of, froze or something. I think they do have an explanation for it, but it's not said in this movie, so I'm not gonna say it yet. So the cops show up, they throw him in jail, and very dumbly leave his mask on him. Where in the world would you see that they keep the mask on the killer who's in the jail? And it's, they bring Jaimie to the jail to show her. It's like, look, there he is. Like, dude, why is she there at all? Why, keep them apart? Okay. But they're like, all right, let's bring her back to the clinic. And I do like Michael's just kind of in the jail and he's just kind of fiddling with his chains. It's a little weird. And so the cop goes outside to bring Jaimie back to the clinic. Again, the clinic is an active crime scene. There have been 2 murders there this evening. Maybe don't go to the clinic. Maybe not. Maybe go to a different hospital. Maybe call the parents. I'm just going to say, call her parents and they'll come back. They'll find out that their daughter's been murdered. And of course, that Jaimie, the one who attacked the mother, is still alive. And it's all because of Jaimie's connection to Michael Myers. But maybe they'll take her back. I don't know. But the fact they don't even bother calling the parents is a stupido. I believe that's Italian or Spanish for stupid. Estupido. That's what it is. So they get in the car. We see the man in black walk right into the hospital, into the police station, and then boom, we see an explosion, and we hear gunfire, and the cop's like, wait in the car, okay? And she doesn't wait in the car. She immediately gets out of the car. But we do see this shot that looks right out of like the Untouchables or something, where it's the shadowed figure of the man in black behind bars with like a Tommy gun. We hear, like, it's ridiculous. But it's kind of a cool visual for a dumb movie. So she goes into the there's no sound now, nothing. So it's a little freaky. She goes into the jail, into the police station, and she sees 1 dead, 2 dead, 3 dead. I watched it a couple times to make sure. 4 dead, 5 dead, 6 dead, 7 dead, 8 dead. So I'm going to count this. Now, some of these were probably shot by the man in black. Maybe not all of them. Maybe some of them were stabbed by Michael. I don't know exactly, except Michael's cell is blown wide open and he's gone. And Jaimie's all alone. Does she say no? Or did I write down no? Or did I just like, no more of this movie? And that is the end of Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. What's his revenge again? Maybe to kill Laurie's daughter? That's the revenge. I'm going to get revenge by killing my niece because I couldn't kill my sister. I want to kill every Myers. I want to be the last Myers. I want to be the last Myers on the planet. I don't know what the revenge is, but again, 13-year-old me thought, whoa, what is that guy? What is his connection? Does he know Michael? Is he Michael's dad? I think I thought, is that like, what is going on here? And Michael's free. Like, oh my goodness, we're going to get another movie right away, right? Oh, we wait. I think it's years. I think, is it 5 years or 6 years? Something like that until we get the next movie. But that's it. The Revenge of Michael Myers. Again, when I watch these movies, I don't want to constantly be shitting on them. But when they need to be shitted on, I will shit it on them. That's not good English in any way. But it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. And I'm okay to say this was worse than I remembered. 4, again, they're just lesser. When the first one is such a masterpiece, it is so economically done. It is so like, just everything makes sense. and it just flows nicely, and it's scary, and it doesn't, not everything is explained or everything's a clue, and it's not dumb happenstance for no reason. And it's spookier, and they just gradually seem to get worse and worse. And I know that there's better to come, but I also know there's a lot worse to come. But I'm going to get there. I'm going to watch them all. And hopefully you come along for the ride with me. So I want to thank you so much for listening to this, for sticking with the show, watching it on YouTube or listening through Spotify or Apple or any of your podcast du jour. I really do appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun to revisit these movies that I love, and I love the whole kind of, I love the bad parts too. Like, it just, there's some choices that I think are good, some that I think are bad, but they're all in good fun, as much fun as you can have watching a man trying to kill children, and I can't wait to, because I don't remember 6. I remember Paul Rudd. That's it. And Loomis is in it a little. And that's all I remember. And I could be wrong about that. But that's my main memory of part 6. And I'm pretty sure we saw that in the theater. At this point, we were old enough that I think my father was like, yeah, no, you guys are good. You don't have to go with me. I'm fine. I don't think my wife came with me. I don't think she ever came with me to see any of these. And this, no, I was going to say this is the last one I saw in the theater for a while. Well, no. There are a few coming up that I've seen in the theater, some that I've seen, some that I haven't seen at all. And, I think you know what they are already. I might have already kind of given some away, but you'll find out in the coming weeks. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening and subscribing. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Geek Mentality. There's links below in the show notes. Or if you're on video, there's links below. If you're on a podcast, it's in the show notes. And on Instagram and Twitter at Geek Mentality. The show has its own Twitter account at /horror. I say /horror sometimes, and it sounds like I'm saying /horror. /horror. And that's it. Everything we do can be found at fansnotexperts.com // So, until next Friday, until we go from return to revenge to curse. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And remember, it is fun to be scared.
Fans not experts.